A narcissist may collapse when they are cut off from supply, but that doesn't always mean they mellow down. They become more dangerous sometimes. When a narcissist stays too long without supply, it's like a druggie without a drug. They become impulsive, aggressive, and very resentful. And the longer they stay without anyone to dump that venom on, the more compressed and explosive that fuel becomes. By the time they find someone new, they aren't just reacting to the present. They are unloading years of stored bitterness onto one target. That's why being the next person in line after the dry season isn't always roses and candles. It can be devastating. You're not only facing the narcissist in front of you, you're carrying the weight of every ghost who denied them before. Without validation to feed their fragile ego, they descend into desperation. And desperation makes them willing to stoop to any low just to trap someone back into their orbit. The longer they go without supply, the more their ego mutates into something like a starving predator, restless, paranoid, and willing to destroy anything in its path to feed itself. Let's uncover all of this in today's episode. I'm Samir, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. The topic for today is 5 ways a narcissist gets more dangerous the longer they stay without supply. Number 1, anger has no release. Their anger no longer has a release. Think about anger like steam inside a pressure cooker. Normally, when a narcissist have access to supply, they release small bursts of that anger through arguments, put-downs, guilt trips, or subtle manipulations. That's how they stay regulated. They use people around them as emotional punching bags, don't they? But when there is no one there, the anger does not vanish. It just builds. It sits under the surface, bubbling and turning into something darker with every passing day. The danger here is that when they finally get someone in front of them, that rage does not match the situation. You could make a small mistake and they will explode, as if you betrayed them on the deepest level imaginable. What you're experiencing is not about you. It's about the months of pent-up rage that had nowhere else to go. It is displaced anger, and it makes the narcissist highly unpredictable. This is why a lot of survivors often say, "I felt like I was being punished for things I never did." You're right. Narcissists store grudges like poison in their system. And when they finally find a new victim, what do? They pour it all out without a second thought. The longer they go without supply, the more violent, sudden, and destructive that release becomes. Number 2, paranoia grows louder. Their paranoia grows louder. A narcissist without supply does not just feel empty, they feel totally exposed. Their entire identity is built on appearances, admiration, and control. Without people validating them, they start to feel like the mask is slipping. Instead of facing reality, they become extremely paranoid. They begin to believe that others are plotting against them, laughing at them, or celebrating their downfall. They see rejection everywhere, even where it does not exist. This paranoia makes them suspicious of everyone, and suspicion makes them ruthless. They are no longer just manipulating for attention. They are defending what they think is a war against their ego. The longer they stay without supply, the more convinced they become that the world owes them revenge. And when they finally step back into someone else's life, they bring paranoia with them. Every question you ask feels like an interrogation. Every delay in answering their calls feels like betrayal. Every smile you give someone else feels like proof of disloyalty. They begin to punish you for crimes you never committed. This is dangerous. Why? Because paranoia can push them into extremes. They may stalk, monitor, or trap people more aggressively. They become delusional, almost psychotic. They may smear others before anyone even criticizes them. The absence of supply turns their inner critic into an army of enemies in their mind, and they strike first to silence it. Number 3, desperation destroys boundaries. Their desperation destroys boundaries. When narcissists are well-fed with supply, they can at least maintain an illusion of control. They may still cause abuse, but they dress it up with charm, gifts, or promises. They lure you with bait before they strike. But when they are starved of supply, the mask slips. They stop pretending. They stop playing the long game. Desperation makes them bold in a very weird way. They will cross boundaries faster than ever because they do not have the patience to wait, do they? They may flood you with love bombing on the first day, demand commitments before trust is even built, or push into your personal space as if you already belong to them. The longer they stay without supply, the less they care about appearances. They are not trying to impress you anymore, they are just trying to survive. This is why people who need a narcissist right after a drought often describe the relationship as intense or overwhelming. They confuse desperation for passion. But in reality, it is just a starving ego clinging to the nearest source of attention, no matter how it has to get it. And once desperation takes over, they are willing to stoop to emotional blackmail, financial manipulation, or even fake emergencies just to secure you. Boundaries do not exist when a narcissist is starving. They will demand what they want without shame, and if you say no, they will punish you for it. The absence of supply makes them reckless in a way that turns ordinary red flags into blazing alarms. Number 4, fantasies turn darker. Their fantasies turn darker. A narcissist lives in the world of fantasy where they are always powerful, admired, and envied. Supply feeds these fantasies and keeps them believable in their mind. But when supply dries up, reality creeps in. They feel small, invisible, and ordinary, which is unbearable for them. So they escape deeper into fantasy, and those fantasies eventually become darker. They start imagining revenge on the people who abandoned them. They fantasize about triumphs that humiliate their enemies. They imagine scenarios where they are worshipped again, even if they have to destroy others to get it. The longer they go without supply, the more twisted these fantasies become, because they're not being grounded by real interactions. This is where the danger lies. When someone lives too long in their fantasies, they begin to act them out. A narcissist who has been without supply for a long time may return to relationships not just to control, but to punish. They may sabotage you. Why? Because in their fantasy world, you represent everyone who ever walked away. They may push you to break just to watch it happen, because in their mind, that proves their power is still intact. What was once a fantasy of adoration becomes a fantasy of destruction. And when reality and fantasy blur, you're no longer dealing with someone who just wants validation. You're dealing with someone who wants domination, destruction, no matter the cost. Number 5, cruelty loses limits. Their cruelty loses limits. At the core of narcissism is entitlement. They believe they are owed attention, admiration, and loyalty. Supply is the drug that makes that entitlement bearable for others. It softens the edges, but without supply, entitlement becomes cruelty. The longer they go without a dose, without supply, the more they feel justified in taking what they want by force, whether emotional or physical. They no longer care if you suffer, as long as they get relief. They no longer care if you cry, as long as you are focused on them. They no longer care about consequences, because their hunger drowns out everything else. This is why narcissists who have gone through long droughts often appear more vicious than before. They do not just insult, they degrade. They do not just argue, they destroy. They do not just control, they break. The absence of supply strips away the thin layer of charm, and that leaves only raw, animalistic need behind. Cruelty becomes their language because kindness requires self-control. And self-control, it's gone. What makes it worse is that this cruelty is not always visible or loud. Sometimes it's calculated, subtle, or hidden. They may play mind games, isolate you, or sabotage you in ways you can't even prove. The longer they go without supply, the more dangerous this cruelty becomes, because it is driven by predatory need for survival, not strategy. Conclusion. So, let's bring it all together. When people hear that a narcissist has been cut off from supply, they sometimes assume it always means the narcissist has been defeated. Not necessarily. The truth is, a narcissist without supply is not safer. They're more unstable, more paranoid, more desperate, and more dangerous, like a wounded animal. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. And until then, as always, let the healing begin.